So how easy is it then to get on 40 metres from a very small garden? The width of my garden is about 10 metres, 30 odd feet. And I got about 25 metres, 25 feet I should say that way. It's about 10 by 8. So not a huge amount of room. We'll put up a dipole and we'll take some liberties with it. And we'll see, even with a bit of messing about, how easy it is to get on 40 metres from such a small space. Okay, so the first thing we've done is popped up together a little ballon, which I'll give you a little close-up of in a second. This is on top of a fiberglass pole. We're using the bottom 8 parts of a DX Commander 10-metre pole, mainly because I broke the top 2 parts about 2 years ago. So that's convenient anyway. Gives us a height of about 8 metres. I'm going to use speaker wire, very cheap speaker wire. So 10-metre strength, length of speaker wire separated, 2 10-metre legs. Got some really thin, this thin, RG58 coax, 174 coax. I've cut a length, so it's just going out the bottom of the pole. Now I haven't got a particular size plug for this. So what I'm going to do, I've split the braid from the center conductor, and what I will do, connect it to one of these, and then run that as a joiner for some RG58 back into the lounge. It's as simple as that. And I've done the same thing here, of course, to connect this, or will do the same, I should say, up at the ballon there, to connect this to the 2 elements. One connected to one leg, one connected to the other dipole leg. It's as simple as that. And the idea behind this is to make a real down and dirty dipole. Something that is really simple to make, not the most aesthetically great thing to look at, but hopefully it has some substance to it. I'm not going to bother soldering anything, by the way. This is like a holiday, a few days schlep up job. No, that's fairly snug enough. It's not going to move anyway, it's at the bottom of the pole, you see. This comes with the BNC connector. We've got the BNC SO239 plug. Yeah, that's in there. You can now connect our RG58 at the bottom of the pole. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm just going to measure and cut some speaker wire, which I think we've done already. I'll check the lengths, and then we'll go about putting this up in a very ungainly, but hopefully a way that at least gets us on the band at short notice in a small location. Right, God, so much Charlie Romeo Alpha Papa on this desk. Okay, just got over 10.1 meters of speaker wire, and I'm going to separate the cables, or partially separate them, get both ends prepared. We'll get it into the center of the antenna, join it to the coax, and hopefully get this thing in the air so I can get on the air later tonight. Something for my box of connectors. You got one of these? All manner of spade connectors and fork connectors in there. So we're looking for the small ones. Haha. Here's some I've not prepared earlier. Lovely. Right, going to strip this back, connect to these. I'm not going to solder anything. Pure lash up this, just to show what's possible when you've got minimal stuff to work with. Okay, so all we've got and done here is literally strip back the wire. Now I haven't soldered it, look. Oh, it's a bit too close probably. But all I've done is literally just cut about, or strip back about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 4 or 5 centimeters, I don't know, of wire, probably about 5 or 6 centimeters actually, maybe 2.5 inches, and then twisted it so it's nice and neat, and then just literally wrapped it around the connector. Done the same for that one. Now you wouldn't do this for a permanent installation, but I have to say this will probably last a few months quite easily like this. All right, in fact probably a bit more, depends on how much strain you put on the wires really. But if it's a relaxed dipole, or certainly a vertical, it'll last for ages. Obviously soldering gives you a much better electrical connection, protects more against oxidization, that type of thing. But for a lash up, if you haven't got solder, don't worry about it. You can even fit a PL259 without solder if you had to, you know. So it's not a big deal if it's just for a temporary setup or a repair in the field. I had to do that for one of my infrared half waves about 2 months ago, where literally it was a commercially bought one, and the fork connector just literally just came off, just snapped off. The wire just snapped. I had a box of what's over there, box of spade connectors, and just literally just stripped back a bit of wire, wrapped it around, and it's been good ever since. So you don't have to worry too much. It's rattling there. You don't have to worry too much about being too too perfect about these sorts of things. Just do what you can and get the antenna up. Okay, next job then, connect this to the centerpiece now, and we'll get this on the air. So here's the center of the antenna. And but the mistake I did make actually, when I just, when I last spoke to you, cat's playing with the wire. The mistake I made from when I last spoke to you, I had to take the wire off the center because obviously I needed to thread it through, you see. Stop doing that. I had to thread it through to get it to connect. So I had to thread the wire through and then reattach these things here. But there we go, it's done. So what I'm going to do now then is put this on the pole. By the way, the dipole center, I got it from a place called Ham Goodies. They do sort of pre-made dipole centers with the nuts, and the screw, the bolts and everything, whatever you want, they're all there. I think they chuck in a couple of spade connectors as well. I can't remember now. I think they do. And you can also buy a little 140/43 balun, which is what toroid even, which is what I've got here. I've done about 10 turns of RG174 around that. I've cable tied it to the center, so it's actually quite lightweight. There we go. Simple as that. Okay, so take your time when you do this. Right, let's just make sure it's all okay. I'm not standing on anything, which is the other classic. I haven't connected the ends to anything yet, so they're going to flop around like any ones for a while. What I'm doing as well, I'm just putting some tape onto the pole just to keep the coax from adding any extra load there. But it's only RG174, it just keeps it nice and tidy anyway, or tidy-ish. Here we go. So that's it, that's the last section done. Just adding a bit more tape to the last bit here. Yes, you can just about see that, just checking. Okay. Right, next thing we're going to do then is drape these legs hither and thither. Right, I've had to go through several bushes and some stuff I really need to cut back in my garden. Anyway, we've got the dipole legs up. They're by no means at 90 degrees. There we go, this is what we have. Okay, so if I show the apex as it looks, it's pretty narrow, isn't it? Let me just zoom in a little bit for you. Fairly narrow, really. So to the right, if we go down, pardon the state of the garden, that's going down to about a height of 2 meters, sort of wedged in the fence there, and then goes down, fairly level across to here, and then down to here. Now I think need to prune that in a second, but the length of it, that's 2 meters. I think about 3 meters of it is going, maybe 3 and a bit meters is on the fence, and then the other 7 is up in the air. Okay, so without the looks or the stardom or the money, I'm now going to try to be Indiana Jones. This leg goes down here, and then oh boy. So so I've sort of tied it off there a little bit, and then it's going to go in here. Oh my God, help me. Why am I doing this? Right, sorry about this. Right. This isn't good camera work. Can you see the wire? Oops, there. And if I go here, see it there? It's going amongst the tree and it's tied there. There we are, that's the end of that same leg, look. It's just tied into the tree. You see that white wire there? Okay, good news of sorts. We've got a dip at around 6.1, so it's really long. It's quite low to the ground, so that makes a lot of sense. We've got some pruning to do. It goes down to about 1.2, 1.3 to 1. About 300, maybe 400 kilohertz, or 2 to 1 or less, which suits me down to the ground. So a low dipole like this, the ends are about 3 feet off the ground, literally. Because it's so close to the ground, it capacitively couples with the ground, and therefore the antenna is seen to be longer, to be longer, I should say. Get my words out. Lower is longer, okay? Taking about 6 inches off each end, approximately. Bits of tree on me, right? Let's see where we are then. Oh, 6.1 last time, weren't we? 6.2. Okay. I think we'll have to be pretty rough with this. I think we'll just cut 12 inches off each end and see where we go. Righty-ho. Let's see where we are. It's getting there. It's about 6.5 megs now. Another 12 inches again. I think we're going to start getting close. See where we are now. 6.8. I reckon another 30 or 40 centimeters will do it. Ta-da! Behold, we now have a tuned dipole. 1.6 to 1 at 7 megahertz dead, or 7200, which is the top end of the band here in the UK. 1.3. Lovely. And I think it dips to about 1.15 at about 7.1. So, success. That's at the end of about 25 feet of 174 and about 15 feet of RG58. I mean, the loss is probably, I'll work it out. I'd be amazed if it's more than 1.5 dB, which is absolutely fine as far as I'm concerned. Let's connect up some more coax to this. I've got it extended a bit. Get it into the temporary sort of shack and see if we can maybe work a few people. Right, mission accomplished.
G5 Tango Mike, Mike 0 Kilo Bravo Charlie, 5 and 9 plus with me. Name's Chris, location is Folkestone, over.
Well, it certainly is. You 10 over 9 with me, no problem at all. 20KHC, QRZ.
Golf 5 Tango Mike.
Yeah, Golf 5 Tango Mike, 2 Echo 0 Kilo Hotel Charlie. Thanks, Tim. You're about 5758. It's drifting a little bit, but there's a QSB on the band, but I'll give you a 5.8 for the log.
I've had the dipole up a couple of days, and it's done really, really well. You saw some snippets in the first night of operation. Second night I had it up. Again, ran the frequency on 40 and did quite well with it around the UK and into Northern Europe. Had a few guys on the frequency with me, with Mike, Foxtrot/M0 MSN, Colin MM0 OPX, Stu G5STU. We also had Darren M0 DCX. I was just passing people around, you know, it was good fun. And then to top it all, right at the end of the night, about midnight our time, maybe a bit later in the UK, PY6RT in Brazil was really loud, had a hell of a pile-up. On 7160, he was about 10 over 9, so he was booming. I thought, oh well, I'll chance my arm, and I thought I'll just time the call. Now, unfortunately, I didn't record the QSO. I think he might well already have confirmed it on QRZ, so it did happen on this scuff. And there was a pile-up, it must have been about a dozen stations trying him at least. And I just timed it so the Tango Mike, the end of my call, just came out after most of the pile-up had ended, and he heard me. And it was the first shout, and I was 5.7 to him, so I'll take that all day long. Obviously his system was doing all the hard work, but you know, just put the cherry on the cake really. Dipoles can work DX, even ones like mine, you know. I reckon the overall length of that dipole is only about 60 feet. I think I've lost about 3 feet per leg, you know, about nearly enough a metre per leg, so that's quite interesting as well. But when it's low to the ground like that, it shortens, so that's good fun. So overall, I mean, what a fun experiment, and I hope it shows you that, you know, you can get an antenna up in a small confined space like that. It shouldn't really, you'd think on paper, A, fit very well, or B, do very well. But, you know, my 31 foot, excuse me, just under 10 metre wide garden for a 66 foot, 20 metre long antenna, well, there we are. Dipoles are very forgiving things. Just get the first half of each leg up as a sort of conventional shape, if you like, either flat top or inverted V. Then the sort of the last half or last third, certainly, of each leg, you do what you want with them, really. You know, just put them, keep them off the ground, keep them out of harm's way. One thing you've got to watch is there's voltages at the ends, high voltages at the ends, but, you know, all that being said, dipole antennas are very forgiving beasts, and on 40 you just got to get something that gets enough current, shoot right up for the first sort of 1,000 miles, certainly 500 miles, you'd be pretty strong. And okay, I didn't run an amplifier, but the guys with amps were about 10, 15, 20 over. I was S9 on 100 watts barefoot. So. And in fact, probably less than 100, because I was running the 7300 off a battery of the LiPo 4, and I was given about 13.2 volts. So probably near, I don't know, 80 or 90 watts, I don't know. But that's all skating around the edges anyway, isn't it? Anyway, enough of me babbling on. Hope that's given you some encouragement, and give the dipole a go. All right, 7.3 from the UK, and we'll catch you again on another one. Take care.